How hard did you push it? Till I black out? Yes. Numerous times, yes.
What's happening, Municipals? This is your boy, Big C. I'm a little starstruck. We have a celebrity in the building. Our boy, Troy Knight, went out and was a full-on professional photographer for a week. So, we're excited to chat about it. He went out and took photos and everything of the Genesis out at Torrey. So we're going to jump into it, chat about his experience, and kind of talk about, the course, the tournament, the whole shebang. So how are you doing, my man?
I am recouping. Today's Wednesday after the tournament, so I got a couple days. But my body was not very happy with me on Sunday night and Monday. On my Apple Watch, I looked at it. I was like just shy of 40 miles in 4 days at Torrey, which if anybody that's been to Torrey, it's a lot of up and down and all of that kind of stuff. So it's not 40 miles isn't the craziest thing that anybody's ever done, but it's definitely it hurt after a while. And like Monday, my feet were like pins and needles. And that rough. I mean, it's just like you feel like you're walking through snow. So it was tough, but I'm recouping. I went to the range tonight. I could swing a golf club today. So
that's good. That's good to hear. I mean, it's also you're lugging around a bunch of equipment with you too.
Yeah.
Ducking and dodging like people actually out there as spectators. So
like constantly kneeling, dude. My knees were bruised. My toenails hurt. Just like everything from my waist down just hurts. And yeah. I'm not a small man, so like I'm not nimble like some of these smaller dudes running around. But I got a sturdy base, so I made it work.
I mean, that's the part about being a photographer. You almost don't want to be seen. You don't want to be kind of noticed. And, if you're, plus you don't, again, you're inside the ropes. So you've got to deal with spectators. You don't want to just like jump in front of them and start taking, pictures.
You do. Like the first day I definitely was a little more cautious about it. And then after that, it's just like, all right, in reality, I'm here to do a job, and I promise you that my photo is going to look 10 times better than your cell phone video, that's like crooked and all of that. But, you still try and be courteous. Like, I try not to stand in front of people when nothing's going on or whatever. But if the shot calls for it, it's like I'm going to stand up and, sorry, but I'm going to be in your way. I've been on the other side of the ropes. I get it, but at the same time, you kind of just have to be a jerk sometimes. So after, like Saturday, Sunday, it was kind of funny. I was like, kind of my favorite thing is when you're following the group and you're realizing you're ruining everybody's cell phone video because you're just walking straight through it. But it was pretty funny. Yeah. It's the little things that make you chuckle because you're out there all alone in reality. I mean, like sometimes you'll run into some of the people you're shooting with or some buddies and stuff, but you're just kind of chuckling at small things. The stuff people say to you is hilarious. Obviously the stuff that people say to the pros is ridiculous. And you hear all of that stuff. So you just kind of close your eyes and keep moving or keep your head down and all that. But I felt like I had, somebody on every fairway trying to stop me to take a picture of him. And it's like, I'm not here to take a picture of you completely plastered on the 10th fairway with a fence behind you, man. Like, that's not what I'm here for. But if you look cool, then I might take a picture of you. If you had a tiger outfit on, I found a couple of those. So.
That's so random. I mean, that's just sports in general in America. I mean, There's a lot of drunk idiots out there. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and again, like the stuff you hear them yell at players is just like, oh my gosh. Like, and these guys go through this every week. Like, holy cow.
They
But
get paid enough.
they get paid enough, and you can kind of see they're used to it to a degree. They definitely kind of just brush it off. Like so, I probably heard 20 people yell at Rory, "Are you going to win a major this year?" Blah 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 blah. But that's 20 people compared to the 20,000 other people that are constantly cheering him on. So, it's there is some relativity there, I guess is the best way to put it.
You're always going to get hecklers, but it's just how you deal with them. And, I think some of them deal with it better. We've all seen some of the meltdowns pros have had out there.
Well, and I mean, I didn't hear anything this egregious, but I think it was at it's a couple tournaments ago, but I saw it on Instagram. Like somebody's yelling at Zach Johnson, like, "You lost the Ryder Cup for us." It's like, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with him, but that's just out of line. That's just being mean. Thankfully, I didn't see or experience any of that directed at anybody, but people do it, and there's just because they want to get a reaction, but that's not what we're here to talk about anyway. So.
No. So let's talk about your experience, my man. So let's chat about, first day to last day. What do you think you learned the most with the experience, being your first major tournament event or pro event? What do you think from day one to fourth day?
Yeah, I mean, I it was kind of straight into the lion's den because Thursday it was just constant rain. So that was that big storm that came through. So that definitely made it a little interesting. You're already outside of your comfort zone, and then you're having to deal with rain covers. I had rented gear. It's okay, let's try and not owe people thousands and thousands of dollars because I'm being careless. Also, while trying not to make any noise, right? Which everything rain gear is just the noisiest stuff ever. But yeah, I mean, right off the bat, we went to the first tee and they were doing a ceremony for firefighters and all that kind of stuff, and then it's off to the races. So it was just a lot of kind of finding your footing, trying to kind of find the rhythm to things the first day. And again, with it being in the rain, that rhythm was just super shaky. So I'd say the first half of Thursday was just kind of finding a footing. I got a couple shots that I liked, but nothing crazy. Then once you get back into the media center, you're trying to dump files and edit stuff as quick as you can. So I was shooting for TGR and Genesis Invitational specifically. So, it was a lot more social media content type of stuff compared to, say, the Getty guys, where they're just trying to get, a head-on shot of Rory. They're just trying to get the cookie cutter stuff. They have their formula. So we're trying to kind of be out there, be more creative, and see the texture stuff, in reality. See the weird things in the crowds, the people with weird signs or, whatever. So trying to kind of find some of that stuff I struggled with that first day, for sure. But yeah, I mean, basically getting back out there Thursday afternoon, I started following. It would have been Colin, Hideki, and Scotty, and they probably had one of the biggest galleries, even in the rain. I mean, it was pretty spare in terms of spectators on Thursday because nobody wanted to come out in the rain. But that's where I kind of started to find a little bit of a footing and got a little more creative with some shots and stuff. Then Friday, it was supposed to rain, and it ended up being just like the most perfect San Diego day you could have asked for. It was spectacular weather, and that's kind of when I really sunk in and found kind of a footing of finding the details, finding the fans. You know, a lot of kids, like, you're trying to look out for that stuff, the high fives, the interactions between the players and the kids. You know, those are the those are the things that I started to see a lot clearer on Thursday. Then Saturday, Sunday, it was funny. Like, Thursday, Friday, the pace and the rhythm. I think, you know, you're going off of 1 and 10. Everything's kind of spread out over the golf course. Obviously Thursday there was like nobody there because of the rain. It felt more lackadaisical. Saturday comes around, everybody's off of 1. Now it's freaking moving day. Like, twosomes off of 1. There was a major difference in the feel. You know, and like, there was a lot more photographers out there because, you know, they're there for the days that really matter, right? They don't really care about who doesn't make the cut. So I thought that was interesting. Media center was packed. And then Saturday, Sunday, it was definitely like the pace of how things moved was a lot faster on the course. So that was interesting to see and experience, because when you're at a tournament, even like I've gone multiple days to the Genesis at Riv, you know, in the same year, you don't see that stuff. You don't feel that stuff the same way. Because you're just kind of always like bouncing around. You might be following a group, but half the time you're following them, then you're jumping a couple holes, so you're not like 30 people deep. You know, this, when you're walking with a group and kind of positioning yourself, or you're within, you know, a photo's length in reality, right, of a group for a period of time, you feel that energy. It's pretty neat. That was one of the cooler things that I definitely have as kind of a takeaway, is just the energy that you feel.
All right. I mean, so what do you think? You know, you're a big Rib fan. We were chatting about that before coming on. You know, Rib is your favorite course. Being at Torrey, do you think, and it being kind of a last minute switch, do you think that the tone of the crowd or the size of the crowd might have been affected by that, not only with the weather?
It's tough to say. I mean, Saturday, Sunday, it was packed. Especially, you had some good groups. Like, I'm trying to think. Saturday, your leaders was Davis Thompson, and Scotty, and then right in front of them was, who was it? I'm trying to remember, but
I don't even remember.
Yeah, like Saturday, you had some pretty good leaders groups, and then I think Scotty right now is like, he's moving the needle. Probably, and again, kind of probably more than I anticipated him to move the needle alone with like a no name guy.
Yeah.
And then Sunday, you know, you had Rory and Scotty together. Like, dude, those galleries were nuts. Like, those were as big of a gallery as I've seen at Riv when like Tiger's playing. But it definitely was sparse, you know, other places on the golf course. But that kind of always happens. But I think maybe there was a little bit of fatigue in terms of, like, you just had a tournament. What was it, 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before?
3, yeah.
3 weeks before. Like, you know, going to a golf tournament's not easy. It's not cheap necessarily. Parking sucks. Like, so I wouldn't be surprised if that maybe deterred a little bit. But I definitely felt like Friday there was good galleries, and then Saturday and Sunday, like, people showed out. So I don't know exactly what they did in terms of ticket numbers. I'm sure it was less than they anticipated, but I don't think it was a failure by any means.
Oh, no.
And I mean, on 18, it was it was packed from the rope line all the way, like, on the, if you're looking down the fairway, all the way on the right towards the towards Torrey Pine Inn right there. It was nut to butt the whole entire way. Like, when I got out of there off of 18, like, it was hard to walk back towards the media center, which was about halfway down 18. Obviously, because everybody's kind of, congregating there. But there was quite a few people there, to say the least. So that was reassuring. I think it obviously would have been more packed at Riv. Riv is also just a smaller ballpark. So it just kind of, footprint-wise, it already kind of funnels people into places. So it would have felt more packed. Yeah. But I think it was a success given everything that happened. It was a success for sure.
I mean, they murked Adelaide. I mean, I think they averaged 12,000 viewers, like some crazy. I mean, absurd that that's even a professional tournament.
That was on tape delay. My buddy's house. Shout out to Rob, who let me crash at his house. He's a big Live fan. I give him a hard time about it, but he would have it on, and it was like tape delay from Adelaide. Like, it looked like fun, but it's their waste management. It's probably their biggest tournament in reality, and I think Genesis posted about it today. I think, or Genesis didn't, somebody else did, but this year was like 3.4 million. It was up 5% from last year. It was the highest, rated thing in the last year since a major. Sunday you had a great leaderboard, even though Denny McCarthy and Patrick Rogers were your final group. Like, you had thoroughbreds from in the top 10, so everybody kind of knew somebody was gonna run. So it worked out. But again, if you're comparing it to Live Adelaide, it's like, okay, well, that's not.
No, not comparing it. It's just I was just aiming at low-hanging fruit there.
100%. Yeah.
But so, favorite moment of the weekend, or favorite shot you've gotten, or both?
Favorite moment. Couple. Favorite moment that corresponds with a shot outside of getting the final shot on 18 that TGR ended up using. That was pretty neat. But everybody's kind of there, so everybody's there to do the same exact thing. But I think I just posted it today. It's a picture of Lucas Glover and this little kid fist bumping, and it was on Friday. He was coming off a 14 green, and it was just neat because the kid had kind of gotten a half-assed fist bump from the other guys that were in his group, Ricky being one of them. I mean, Ricky just was not playing well, so you could tell he was just frustrated. He still fist bumped him, but Lucas stopped. He kind of messed around with the kid. He kind of held his hand back and joked with him, and then finally the kid knuckled him. And he just giggled. They kind of had a moment. It was just neat to see a pro in the middle of his round kind of take time to make a kid's day and make him laugh, and that kid's going to remember that for the rest of his life. So that would correspond with a shot. Probably another cool moment was being on 13T, which was the U.S. Open tee, the one all the way back, where you're hitting over the ravine left of the giant tower. with Finau and Burns, and I just kind of followed him over there. Probably pushed my luck a little bit too far, but followed him kind of 20 feet away and snuck into the bushes a little bit, and just you can see how those guys just kind of hang out when they're out there, especially when nobody's around, because there wasn't a spectator for probably 200 feet. They did not let anybody go back there, so it was just them, their caddies, and the scorecard bearer, and that's it, and then me, and they're kind of like talking and joking and whatever, and so that was a neat thing to experience, because I had never experienced something like that before. The shots from it were whatever, they were just kind of generic whatever shots, but like that's something I'll definitely remember going forward.
Like you kind of always say, it's not always the best picture, but it's the people in the pictures.
Yeah.
That's kind of one of those ones you'll look back on, you'll remember it, but like if anybody actually looked at him, they'd be like, it's just Burns and Finau.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Like It was funny on Sunday, Wyndham Clark and Jake Knapp were together. They were coming off of 2 green, going up to 3 tee box. I was right in between 3 tee box and 6 tee, because they kind of butted up to each other because they were using the back left tee box on 3. That's 3's the downhill par 3 that's like gorgeous. And same kind of thing, like they had it roped off way away. So I mean, spectators are probably 100 feet away. And you could see, like, as soon as they got past the spectators and were maybe 20 feet from them, they just started chatting, like, super hard. And they were talking about the fight in the U.S. versus Canada hockey game, because Jake Knapp's a big hockey player. Wyndham's a big hockey fan. And so them and their caddies that are all talking about it, like, talking crap to each other and just, this is crazy, this should have happened, this, that, and the other. And on the tee box, they're talking about it, and I'm sitting there with like the 2 marshals, and we're just kind of like, "This is the coolest thing ever." And then you kind of see them; they're sitting there, and then all of a sudden, like they lock in, and then here's your number. What club do you like that? They both hit their shot. As soon as they hit their shot, they start walking. They start talking about it again, going down the hill, and none of those people saw or heard that. And it's just one of those things where you go, they're normal people. They're into normal things like us. But to kind of be a fly on the wall is pretty cool, because some of those groups, they come through and they don't, nobody even talks to each other. Some of them are a little more chatty. So it's those are the fun memories for sure.
Favorite hole that you've or it could be your favorite hole that you think that you enjoyed taking photos of, or the one that was most photogenic.
I don't know. Torrey was kind of tough. I think 4 fairway was probably my favorite to take shots of. So like I took a shot of Jason Day hitting a shot from there, and it's just like super isolated. And
the one Melbourne reposted.
Yeah. That was like probably my favorite area to kind of just post up and let people kind of walk through and see what happens. Torrey's pretty tough to photograph. It's kind of dull. I mean, other than the fact that you have the ocean. But there's not a lot of character. And then, you look around and they have fences up everywhere and hospitality buildings. And some of that was kind of weird. So, like, photogenic-wise, it's tough to say. But, I think, kind of anything, you find ways to make something look interesting. Maybe not necessarily super photogenic, but at least interesting. And I think I was able to do that most places on the course. 18 was actually really hard especially because, most of the time that I was spending on 18 would be that later in the afternoon, just depending on where the groups were. So, like, the whole left side of the fairway is all hospitality. And as soon as that sun got low, then it was like super dark on 18. So it was fun on 18 on Sunday because I was dead in line with Ludwig on his eagle putt. I mean, I was looking down the barrel of his eagle putt. So I had him and the crowd behind and that, all of that kind of stuff. That looked super cool. But that was also at like 3 p.m. The other days, they were a little later start. So, it was like 4:30, and it was dark on 18. 18 was really tough to photograph. But the front nine there definitely, I think, is more photogenic just in general. Just because it's as soon as you get to one green, like, it's ocean. And you're seeing the ocean the whole time from there. And just kind of finding ways to use that. It was a little tough because they didn't like specifically say don't shoot Torrey like it's Torrey. But the reality of it is like they're not planning on ever going back there, and they want to they want to have some stuff to use. So it was more just kind of like don't make that the focus. Make the branding and the texture stuff and the crowd and the players doing something, be creative with the players, et cetera, et cetera. But it's like, if you're just going to take every photo with the ocean behind them, it doesn't do them a ton of good over a long period of time. So, kind of just following that directive, it was just how else can we, fit this mold that we're trying to kind of create, while still showcasing Torrey, because it is special. It was, everybody was super thankful that they let us play there. So, yeah.
So that would probably be the biggest difference. That was going to be kind of my next question, was like, what's your biggest difference between, taking the camera out and shooting photos of a course that's not hosting a tournament, and then being hired by someone to go out and take photos? I mean, you just answered some of it where they really wanted you to focus on including the Genesis branding and things like that, and a lot of the photos, so they can use it for marketing purposes. But outside of that, what would you say the biggest difference was, or what you were focusing on, or what you would focus on when you go out and just, freelance with your camera while you're playing, or following some of your friends, or this?
Yeah, I mean, I want to definitely make it like clear. I think we probably had the best situation there. Like I had mentioned, like the Getty guys, like those guys they have to get those shots. Like, that obviously that's how they make their money. They're doing stock photography. Our team was buying some of those images. Like, if we didn't have stuff, but that's just for like one-off little, graphic type of things, right? Our job was to just kind of like, if you were to go look through their stories and look through their posts, like, does it make you feel like you were there? Great. Like, that was our goal. And I was working with some really good photographers. Maddie Alward, who is phenomenal. I mean, that dude is just a stud. His Instagram's Matty Word Up. Like, he shot the U.S. Open, he shot the Masters, and he's probably one of the most creative people with a camera that I've had the chance to be around. He and I could be in the same exact spot, and he'll come up with something that like blows my mind, and he'll go, I wasn't feeling it today. I was like, that was still pretty cool. Like, yeah, what you came up with out of that was pretty cool, dude. So, and then my buddy Landon, he was doing a lot of the video, a lot of that kind of stuff. Like, we had a super good team. The two girls that were helping, they were basically our bosses, more or less. Also, a girl named Maddie and Jacqueline. They did great, but they weren't like telling us, "Hey, you have to go get this." It was really like, "Go do what you need to do. Go do what you want to do. Go be creative." Yeah, we have a style and all of that kind of stuff. We picked you guys for a reason. So we're trusting you with that. Go do that. And then it was like, hey, if you're around that area, can you go shoot the hospitality on 17? Sure. I'll go take some photos of it and see if we can get something that, that is interesting. And some of it they use, some of it they don't, But we kind of just had like a, free reign to do what we wanted and whatnot. So that was cool because it still kind of feels like I'm out playing and I mean, you've seen me, like, especially in like Minneapolis. It's like I'm seeing something, I'm going to take a picture of it. In reality, like, yeah, I may know that it could be really good, but as soon as I take a picture of it, I don't care about it until I'm back on my computer and I see if I can make something of it. Just trying to find ways to make something look different, make something unique, without it being ridiculous. But they gave us that rope to do that. So that was really neat and really special because I don't think everybody always has that same leeway, to do that. So it felt similar in that sense. Obviously, not playing golf is a heck of a lot easier. Like, just being able to like focus on taking a shot. A lot of the shots that I get when I'm playing is half the time because I'm hitting my ball in a place I shouldn't be. So then all of a sudden I look around and I go, hey, that's kind of interesting. But I never would have gone there if I didn't, shank a drive freaking 40 yards right. And all of a sudden I look back and there's the 9th hole or whatever and it looks cool. Like, that doesn't happen. In this circumstance, you can kind of just do that. You can kind of just wander. And then especially when you're doing it 4 days in a row, you're also kind of making that checklist through your brain of, hey, I remembered it was kind of interesting looking here in the morning. Let's try and swing back by there and see if there's, if we can make something out of that. So I think that answers your question. Obviously, there's more pressure. If I go play 18 with some buddies and take some photos, like, I don't have to produce a single image if nothing's interesting. This, like, you have to, but it still was fun. I still had a lot of fun. I didn't feel like I was grinding to get shots out. So.
See, now that you're a professional photographer, we're going to have to submit your pictures because Upper Deck is starting to put out golf cards again. And your boy.
Yeah. Freaking baseball cards that somehow are worth more than they actually should be, and nobody knows how much they're actually worth.
No, yeah. People paying for cards. Yep. Yeah. But yeah, we'll have to submit some of these things to Upper Deck. Get you on the next series.
Yeah. I'll let the Getty guys do that.
Oh man. So
I don't think my stuff's their style, if you know what I'm saying.
What would be your dream? I mean, outside of Augusta, of course. But what would be your dream event or tournament
obviously the Masters.
Well, no, I said outside of Augusta, outside of the Masters.
Okay. U.S. Open, British Open.
What course? If you were going to pick the course that the U.S. Open is hosted at, outside of Riv, you can't go the easy route.
I think Pebble would be really cool to photograph. I think it'd be really hard, actually, because
it's been done so well.
Well, it's been done. Yeah, it's like I have some buddies that just shot the AT&T Pro-Am this year, and they did a phenomenal job. All their social media team, those guys all crushed it. I think that probably doing it for the AT&T is probably even harder than doing it as like a U.S. Open there, because the first 2 days are split, and so like you only have half the field out there. You've got all these Pro-Am stuff, like. And then, like you and I were talking before we started the pod just about Pebble, and there's, some really good holes there. There's some kind of mundane holes there. I would assume shooting that, you're probably going to kind of always be on the same holes, which are going to be the Oceanside holes. But I think shooting at Pebble would be really neat. Pinehurst would be really cool. Just the light and stuff in those tall pines is just crazy. I mean, I say this more so because the time of year. It would be super cool to shoot a Ryder Cup, obviously because it's a Ryder Cup, but also because of how late it is in the year. Like, you have good light basically from like the middle of the day. Especially like this year, they're going to be up in freaking New York. Like, that sun is just going to be hanging. And I mean, the stuff that those guys are probably going to put out of this Ryder Cup, it's going to be phenomenal, because the light's just going to be good for 6 hours.
Well, and less players, smaller field. So something like the Ryder Cup would be much inside the ropes, because you're not having to deal with the chaos of how many people are there.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be easier to photograph because you're not dealing with an expansive field. You're only having 3 to 4 groups out there at a time, so you can get ahead of them. Watch them all play through and then catch up again.
I think it'd be different. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of golf through a day. And I think the thing that would be cool about the Ryder Cup, like, during these events, you get some emotion from the guys, like they'll miss a putt and stuff like that. But like, the most emotion I saw last week was Sahith almost making a hole-in-one on, I think it would have been Sunday, because it was right after Keegan's hole-in-one. I was almost there for Keegan's hole-in-one, but I was on the green of 4 walking back towards 3, so I missed it. But he bought us all beers, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, Sahith almost making a hole-in-one. Like, he kind of showed some emotion. That was cool. And then obviously, like, Ludwig winning. Outside of that, though, like, guys kind of, oh, I missed a putt. They'll make a couple of facial expressions. But like the Ryder Cup, I mean, those guys are pumped up and they show it, and they let loose a little bit. So I think that would probably be a lot of fun to kind of try and capture, that side of things. The fans are going crazy. They're allowed to go crazy. I think it's also a different kind of fan. The fans that are going to go to the Ryder Cup are like super well educated. Probably the same thing if you're going to the British Open. You're going to have fans that are a lot more attentive to what's going on compared to your general everyday tournament, especially in Southern California. Like, we have a lot of golf bros out here. I probably saw more good hats than I could even think of, but that's just a culture. And so, they've got 3 beers in their hands and a good hat, and their eyes are glazed over. How much golf are they actually paying attention to? Who knows? You go to something a little bit more prestigious, like a Ryder Cup, obviously a major. Those people want to be there a little more, probably. Costs more. So I think that would be a factor for sure. I know, like, when I got to go to the U.S. Open in, what was that now, 23 at LACC, the crowd, like, pretty much everybody there seemed like they were pretty locked into what was going on. Like, yeah, you had, it's LA, so you have a lot of, people who got hooked up with tickets and all that kind of stuff. And it was like, I spent $300 for mine to go to, for one day. It was a big deal. Like, and people kind of acted that way.
Well, it's kind of like going to a regular season baseball game and then going to a playoff game. Like, the true fans, they're still gonna come out and they're gonna watch a regular season game, but the majority of the people that come to a playoff game are locked in for the playoff game. You're not out there eating hot dogs, getting pennants, eating red ropes. Like, you're paying attention. And
everything matters. Yeah, in those games, so not that everything doesn't matter in a signature event like this, but it does to a degree. But in a major, it matters even more. In a playoff baseball game, every out matters, right? Like, and everybody's kind of like hanging on that. Go Dodgers! We just lived through that. But
I'm a free agent, dude. I don't have a team.
Come down south, join us. We're the good guys. We're the good guys.
No way. If anything, I'd be a Padres fan.
That's even worse. I'm
a Tatis fan.
You like steroid users?
Hey.
Pax, leave that in.
Mark McGuire and Jose Canseco were my men growing up.
Yeah, so yes. Yeah, exactly. Just freaking
bring them all.
Just put it straight in. Let's freaking go.
Be in the Hall of Fame, buddy.
I'm not disagreeing with that. He was pretty incredible. But yeah, I would obviously a major would be it. Regular tour stop, probably Pebble. Like maybe Arnold Palmer. I wouldn't want to shoot Waste Management. That seems like it would probably be a nightmare.
That would be the one that I think I would want to stay away from the most, especially because of all the influencers. And there's a lot that goes on. It's just, that would be a hellhole.
Yeah. That one would be tough. Maybe I
think the Players would be great.
Players would be really cool. Yeah. I have a feeling it'd probably be a hard property to shoot on. I think I know we already said I can't say Riv, but the cool thing with Riv, and I haven't shot there yet, but the cool thing with Riv, just having gone for so many years and having been able to play it, it's just it's so compact, but it's still a championship golf course. So Torrey is very spread out. If you're on 3T or 3 green, to get to 11 is brutal, and I had to do it. It's not an easy traverse to do that because you have to go around that whole entire gorge and then all the way to the corner, right? Where Riv, you could get from one fairway to 5 and 6, kind of the very end of the property, pretty simply, because it's just kind of all right on top of each other. It's really well laid out. So, I would think something like the Players, where it's kind of snaking through everything, would probably be tough as well. Not impossible, just a different challenge. But it'd be interesting to shoot something like that. Same with Pebble. Pebble's a pretty big piece of property overall.
Spread out.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That probably as a photographer, and where Riv is too, it's kind of there. It's a little bit
valley
in a bowl. So being able to get up on high points and being able to get different trajectories of shots as well would probably help out. Where being on courses with a little bit more of a flat plane probably, causes more mundane shots, or doesn't allow you to get as creative. Not mundane, but as creative.
Yeah, I think it's how they have it set up. I think you look at the stuff that like Maddie put out from Pinehurst, and it's fantastic. Like all of those guys, all of that crew. I mean, I'm friends with Jeff Marsh. Jeff Marsh can, make anything look good, and he does it every tournament he goes to. He's phenomenal, and he can do that even at a property that is like there's maybe 10 feet of elevation gain, all in all, but he can do it. I think it depends on how they set up grandstands and stuff. I know Matty Hahn's been on here with Ashton before. I think they played like Sand Valley or something. Like his stuff is always incredible in the majors. Those guys can do that. So it's just you just adapt to what you have. But I'm sure there's properties that are easier, and like Pebble would also probably give you some cool opportunities to do different types of shots, like big grandeur types of shots, that other courses don't allow you to do. So even though it's not a small ballpark, like the ocean side holes, what is it, 4 through 10 or whatever, like they're pretty flat in relativity, sake. But you could do a lot of cool stuff with them still.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Well, thank you for sharing insight. Your next big event is called the Ponderosa Pines, so we're gonna need you in your camera.
The cookout first.
That's
not get
true.
ahead of ourselves. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Hopefully
I'm taking a picture of a hot dog victory at the end, but
we need it. We need it bad. It needs to happen. It's.
Oh, Captain, my captain.
I had JD come to the shop to hang out for a couple hours the other day, and he goes, 2 of my buddies are coming, and you need to make sure you pick them, make sure that you win, because they're heaters. And I was like, the thing is, I figured out, you don't want the low handicaps, because if they just have an off day, it's done. Like because it's match play. Like they have a couple bad holes, someone's gonna get up on them. So it's like it's actually the 4 to 7 handicaps that are dogs. Like that
or the 10s like Alex Wong that I freaking ran into that buzzsaw in singles who shot like 75 or something as a 10.
Those are the ones.
Those are the ones you got to worry about.
Those are the ones you got to worry about. Like that's why I worry about the mayor. Like,
yeah.
Especially because he plays there all the time, and it's like the mayor could go out and shoot a 74, he could shoot an 80, but like he also grinds it out. So it's
John is dangerous at Seoul. You do not want to play John if you don't have to. So
me and JD went up against John, and that didn't work out very well.
But it is what it is. So that's the next big event. We gotta shoot the cookout first. That's the important one. That's the crown.
Important one.
That's our crown jewel in reality. Let's be real. We have some other exciting things coming, but that's our Riviera.
Yeah. So for right now, yeah.
I mean, William Bell's son designed the place, so like it's kind of related.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna have a Jack Nickley and a David McClay kid on the books starting in September. So that I don't know. We got some competition on courses that we're hosting at.
Yeah,
we only host at heaters. We'll just say that.
True. Very very
heaters true. Only for municipal tournaments.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, thanks for chatting.
All right, I appreciate the honestly, and I want to take a second because this is a big deal for me, and everybody like texting and DMing and calling. I'm sorry, I probably didn't get back to like 90% of you, but that was overwhelming. That was pretty neat to have so many people within our circle, friends and family. I can't tell you how much that meant to me. All these people just reaching out because I'm shooting, people making millions of dollars playing golf. Like, it was a goal of mine, and I realized that, and that was cool. But to have all the added support was unbelievable. So I want to say thank you again and again. I can't even begin to repay any of those people for that support.
Oh yeah,
So.
I mean we're proud of you. I mean we're glad you're part of the Municipals, and I mean we want to see you flourish, even if it's not necessarily tied with us. We want everybody to accomplish all the goals that they want to accomplish. So it was exciting.
Rising tides, dude. We gotta get all the boats going up, and it happens one thing at a time. So,
all right, buddy. Thanks for coming on, bud.
I appreciate it. Thanks, dude.